So, hello and welcome to everyone who is joining either live right now or watching the recording of our live event, our gathering. So, what we are going to do today is we're going to start with just a few moments of grounding and calming, a little bit of meditation to relax into this space and to show up fully to our body and mind at the present. And then we are going to continue a series, kind of like a series that we've been going through, the teachings of Ajahn Buddhadasa, who is this really great philosopher monk, teacher from Thailand, who is passed away now, but very prolific Buddhist teacher, Buddhist philosophy teacher. I wonder, is anyone here for the first time, or is anyone here completely new to meditation? Okay. Kane's here for the first time. Yeah.
Here for the first time, but
Okay. Anyone else?
This is my first time.
Okay, Claire. So maybe if you're comfortable, you could just to say hello and introduce yourself a little bit. Maybe just what your experience is with meditation and why you're here. Something like that. Kane, you want to go ahead?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm an Australian living in Sierra Leone, living and working here. Had a bit of experience with meditation in Perth, where I lived for a number of years. So kind of looking for a community, or a community to share with meditation and discuss. So happy to have found you guys.
Very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And Claire, would you like to? Claire's still here? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I have been meditating on and off, and also reading about Buddhism on and off over the past couple of years. And so this has been kind of another loop back into looking into it for me over the past couple of months.
Great. Anyone else here for the first time?
Hi, Bante. My name is Royston. I've been meditating for a few years. I live in Mountain View, California. I'm a big fan of Venerable Buddhadasa. Thank you.
Great. So we've got all kinds of real people here. Anyone else? Okay, so I am Bante Warpanyo, and be hosting our session today. And I've been a monk for 4 years and a meditator for about 10 years. And this life as a monk is a full-time, 24/7. And I'm supported by the Buddhist community and people who aren't Buddhist sometimes to do this activity full time, so that I don't need to charge, or this isn't like something that's leading into a program for you to buy into, but this is really an invitation to join a community of meditators and practitioners that are coming together to practice together and to learn Buddhist teachings, or in Buddhism we would say Dharma teachings, so like a truth teachings, guidance to lead us to the ending of suffering. And when I am around, I'm usually the main facilitator, but I'm not like the master or the guru of this community. I'm just the main facilitator. I'm the monk. So sometimes we have other people who are hosting sessions, and the more that you invest and get involved in the community, The hope is that the more empowered you are to offer to the community, to offer your time, to offer your presence, to support others in meditation and kind of showing up together in this way. So like I said before, we're going to start off with a few moments of meditation practice together. So after that, we'll get into the teachings of Ajahn Buddhadasa, but first, a little bit of meditation. So go ahead and find a meditation position. Okay, and that's just a comfortable, stable position for your body. And recently I said you can wiggle around a little bit to find that comfortable position, but actually you can wiggle around a lot, as much as you need to wiggle around to, to get comfortable. And you might find that your whole meditation practice is just wiggling around. Well, if it's done in the right way, then that's okay. If you can stay with it, then that's the meditation you can do, wiggling around. But finding a comfortable, stable position for the body to be somewhat still or somewhat in the process of relaxing and finding a place of stillness. You can close your eyes if it's comfortable. Start to become aware of the senses. So become aware of the hearing my voice, but certainly hearing other sounds as well. And let each sound to be an invitation to go into the hearing itself, not to get stuck on any particular word or sound, but each sound a invitation to kind of listening to the hearing. And for any meditation, any guided meditation, any meditative practice, the breath is always there as an anchor. So it's something that you can rely on. It's something that you can come back to. You don't need to hyper-focus on the breath, but the breath can be a place of simplicity that you can come back to. So noticing the hearing, noticing the breathing that's happening. And becoming aware of this general sense, this overall sense of the body sitting here at this present moment. From the head to the shoulders, the chest, the heart, the stomach, the back. Just breathing and feeling into this overall experience of having a body right now. Breathing deeply as needed and becoming fully aware of the truth, the reality of your body just sitting here right now, breathing. When thoughts come up, we can rely on the awareness itself of those thoughts, so not to get caught up in a good thought or a bad thought or whatever, but to come back to the quality of awareness that those thoughts are arising within. And the same with something that you hear or something that you feel in the body, a tension or a tightness, difficulty or even a pleasantness. Coming back to that awareness of the experience. So just sitting, breathing, and being aware. It's a common kind of wisdom idea that we should find joy in the small things, the simple things. Meditation is a time when we really find joy, appreciation, peace in the smallest thing, in the smallest moment, just the feeling of the breath right now, the recognition of the body right now, our own sincerity and mental or physical health right now, the experience, following the breath and finding that joy, that appreciation in each and every moment. Okay, so at this time we can open our eyes if they are closed. And we're going to start with our reading, our study of the teachings of Ajahn Buddhadasa. So this is a book called the seeing with the eye of Dhamma, seeing with the eye of truth. And as we listen to these teachings, we can come back to our meditative way of being. So I like to say you can listen from your breath, you can listen from your heart, you can listen from your body. Just kind of open yourself up to the experience. And at certain times as we go through the reading, there will be an invitation for people to ask questions or to bring up comments. And really it's just a time where you can listen wholeheartedly, listen from the heart, and hopefully some of these teachings will reach you. And I'll add some commentary as we go along as well. So we left off last time talking about superstition, all right? So that we tend to be very superstitious people, and too ready to believe in some kind of assumption or some kind of convenient idea, some kind of convenient way of explaining things or understanding things. And Buddhadasa was talking about the problems, the unskillfulness of superstition, and that our superstition leads us to be easily misled by people, and it's kind of a science of staying asleep. So this superstition is almost like maybe a way of convincing yourself that you can see in the dark because you've bumped into a few things. Whereas the Buddhology, or the teachings of Buddhism, or the teachings of the truth, we will call anti-superstition, and more like the science of awakening, or the science of turning on the light. Okay, so that you can see clearly, or turning on the light in your mind and then you can see in the dark, something like that. Okay, so we need to investigate and learn about the truth, and this way of investigation and learning about the truth is not more complicated than studying and looking deeply into the mechanisms of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind adequately and deeply. And if we can look at that in the right way and investigate the mechanisms, the faculties of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, then we can know about the truth and know about reality as it is. Okay, we can realize the path, the fruit, and nibbana, enlightenment. So that's what our meditation practice is about. It's a way of investigating and looking in the right way, looking in a deep way to the faculties of the senses. Okay, the seeing itself, the eyes themselves, the ears themselves, the hearing itself, the bodily experience itself, with a quality of interest and curiosity, really looking into that, really investigating that. And as we make progress in meditation, what that means is basically that through our good efforts and skillful efforts, we develop a quality of joy, of kind of pleasure and enjoyment in the body or in the mind, and that leads us in to be more interested, more investigative, more involved in looking closely at the body, at the mind. Okay, and so that quality of joy and enjoyment is very, very important in our meditation practice. Joy in the body, enjoyment in the mind, this feeling of freedom, this feeling of opportunity, this feeling of intimacy, and allowing that to lead us more and more deeply into our investigation. Okay? And we'll go now to this topic of we worship the kleshas. We worship the kilesas as good. Okay, so these kilesas in Buddhism are mental states that cloud the mind and manifest in unwholesome actions. That's what a kilesa is, okay? It's these negative mental states that cloud our mind and then express themselves in these unskillful activities, unskillful actions that cause more sufferings. This is our anxiety, our fear, our anger, jealousy, desire, depression. Okay, negative emotions, mind poisons, neuroses of the mind that we get ourselves involved with. Okay, so these are the kilesas. So we worship the kilesas as good. From the beginnings in the wombs of our mothers, we naturally lack correct knowledge. We don't have right knowledge that accords with nature. Okay, so maybe we can say we have more of animalistic knowledge. This mind that only superficially knows sense contacts via the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind lacks deeper understanding of what truth is. Okay, so that from when we are first coming into being in the womb, and then we're an infant out in the world, we only know through this kind of superficial sense contact, just like an animal only knows through their sense contact with the world. So we wouldn't go to a squirrel or a dog and ask them about the real truth. We can say they have a superficial understanding of what truth is, certainly as it relates to us and the seeking of truth. It doesn't know release through the power of mind and release through wisdom. Rather, it's solely focusing on the release or pleasure seeking and pain avoidance. Okay? So this superficial way of only knowing the truth in relationship to sense contacts by the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, only knowing about the reality through the content that comes up in reality, then this kind of mind doesn't know release through the power of mind and release through wisdom. It doesn't know what dukkha is, what the causes of dukkha are, what the quenching of dukkha is, or how the way of quenching dukkha works. So this is like the Four Noble Truths, and dukkha means not just suffering, but also a sense of unsatisfactoriness, okay, a sense in our lives of not being satisfied. So this shallow mind doesn't know what unsatisfactoriness is, what the causes of unsatisfactoriness are, what the quenching or the cessation, the ending of that unsatisfactoriness is, or how the way of ending suffering, quenching that unsatisfactoriness works. The mind lacks this sort of knowledge from before birth. Once born, each child is surrounded by a plethora of things that lead it away from truth. It thus grows up in the midst of falsity and delusion regarding what it experiences through the sense media. So only understanding things according to the content rather than the principles of reality. So one of the ways to understand it is that we get totally lost in our thinking about the world and the story about ourselves, but we don't notice the principles of the mind itself or the principles of reality itself, such as whatever content comes up, whatever story comes up, whatever thought comes up, goes away. And that this is much more the truth than whatever content, whatever idea or story we get stuck on or lost in. Okay? So once born, each child is surrounded by a plethora of things that lead it away from truth. It thus grows up in the midst of falsity and delusion regarding what it experiences through the sense media. Ignorance of reality increases. It doesn't know the way of survival. That is the path for realizing nibbana, realizing enlightenment. This is our original sin, quote unquote, original sin. While other religions have their particular concepts of original sin, we Buddhists understand it to be the misunderstanding sparked by all the things encountered after emergence from the womb. So sin in Buddhism is more like a misunderstanding. Okay, it's not this absolute right or wrong, but it's just a lack of clear and insightful understanding. I can say that's what sin is in Buddhism. Those who raise us bring delicious things for us to eat, and we become infatuated with the delicious. They bring lovely and beautiful things, encouraging us to fall for beauty. Soon we are hooked into clinging to me and to mine, and then clutching at selfishness. Okay, and this selfishness, this self-attachment, this self-fixation is just like at the root of our suffering in our lives, at the root of our kilesas, our negative mind states. It's that we're so self-fixated. It's like our original desire is our attachment around the self, our clinging around this someone, something. So those who raise us bring us delicious things for us to eat, and we become infatuated with the delicious. They bring lovely and beautiful things, encouraging us to fall for beauty. Soon we are hooked into clinging to me and to mine, and then clutching at selfishness. We go ever further astray, which doesn't decrease as we grow into adolescence. We carry such wrong views until we are old and gray. Okay, so we kind of constantly perpetuate and stay in this state of confusion, suffering, unskillful thinking, self-attachment. And this is really a major problem. And a lot of people never take the backward step. Even they find themselves to be an old person, and they never consider kind of deeper looking at the truth, but just have continuously fallen for beauty and infatuated by the delicious. And any monk or any Buddhist or any enlightened, quite wise person is also going to have that experience. But the difference is that we are taking a backward step and making a skillful choice. Okay, and then our quality of mind can change, and our understanding of the truth can evolve and deepen. So observe and examine yourself to see whether the misunderstanding that has been with you all along has ever decreased with the passing of time. Actually, it only increases, becomes firmer and stronger, and becomes extremely difficult to remove. When we can't get rid of it, we must bear its unsatisfactoriness and endure it, deal with it until we awaken the aspiration to be free from it. Then, with wise aspiration, we commit to turning things around, to resolving our dilemma. Hence, if we've been lucky enough to realize this, we know that the misunderstandings and their suffering can be solved. Convinced that we can do so, we apply ourselves, make the necessary adjustments, and steadily lessen the unsatisfactoriness that we endure. We come to know life without suffering. Okay, so this is like the turning point and the touchstone of a spiritual path, all right? That ability to take a step back and examine yourself. That's what this whole paragraph right here is about. So observe and examine yourself to see whether the misunderstanding, the unskillfulness that's been with you all along has ever decreased with the passing of time. Actually, it only increases, becomes firmer and stronger, and becomes extremely difficult to remove. When we can't get rid of it, we must bear its unsatisfactoriness. Okay, we can't get rid of our misunderstanding. We can't get rid of our ignorance that is just kind of this knot that has become more and more tangled up over time. We can't get rid of it. So we must face its sufferingness, its unsatisfactoriness, and endure it. Face it and be with it, and endure it until we awaken the aspiration to be free from it. Not the aspiration to cover it up, not the aspiration to go away from it or something like that, but actually to be free from it, to see through it. Then, with this wise aspiration, so like it's this good intention, this sincere intention to free ourselves from suffering, to see through our suffering and our closed-mindedness and our constant selfishness, then with that wise aspiration, that deep intention, we commit to turning things around, that is, to getting involved, that is, resolving our dilemma, taking care of this situation. Hence, if we've been lucky enough to realize this, we know that the misunderstandings and their suffering can be solved. Convinced that we can do so, we apply ourselves, make the necessary adjustments, and steadily lessen the suffering we endure. We come to know life without suffering. So that those necessary adjustments will be living a virtuous life, okay, asking the question of how can I actively be a good person? How can I actively be generous? How can I actively come back to the present moment? Come back to being aware of what's happening right now, doing good deeds, doing acts of generosity, and also this detachment, this quality of a willingness to let go of what comes up. Okay, if you can be willing to let go of pleasurable experiences or something you feel very happy, you feel very pleasant, if you're willing to let go of that and you practice to detach from that, it's not fighting against it, but it's more that you might feel very happy and joyful, but you're not just running around like a happy fool. That there's this sense of taking a step back and being aware of what you are experiencing, rather than just rolling down this hill of I. If you can do that, then you can also apply that way of detachment, that way of taking a step back, to your suffering, to your anxiety, to your fear, to your depression. Okay, so making the necessary adjustments, that is, doing good deeds, practicing mindfulness, and also incorporating with all of that this willingness to let go and this willingness to refresh and restart, to begin again from this moment. Okay? And steadily, consistently, we can lessen the suffering we endure. We can lessen the unsatisfactoriness that we have to deal with, that we have to face. We come to know life without suffering. We come to know this peace mind, this freedom mind that is also real and also accessible to us. Okay? Personally, there is no need to suffer. Socially, there is no need to suffer. Families need not suffer. All peoples, communities, societies, and countries, the whole world need not suffer. This is the ultimate purpose. How can life without suffering come about? We need to let Dhamma save the world. We need to let truth save the world. Have truth rule the world so that it is suffering-free. Lacking knowledge since in the womb means we have arrived empty-handed. Since birth, right knowledge not being taught, we have been loaded up with misunderstandings. Who bothers to teach children about the quenching of dukkha, the ending of suffering? They are only fed, filled, indulged, pampered, flattered, and babied until thoroughly spoiled. That's how it is. Whose sin is that? Born naturally, lacking any true knowledge, emerging from the womb with nothing, then filled with misunderstandings, and increasingly with selfishness, we are infatuated with delightful, stimulating, sensual experiences until we worship the pleasure and fun of the senses. And we can never ever earn enough money to fulfill our sensual indulgences. Anyone have a question or a comment about this? what we've read so far?
Castiana bowing in. I have a comment. When you read about letting go, there is this really famous singer his name was Leonard Cohen. He passed away, and he was also a Buddhist monk for a few years. I just remembered one of his pictures. It was a caricature of himself. I'll share it in the picture group later. And it said, only one thing made him happy, and now that it was gone, everything made him happy. So I just remember that while you were reading about letting go.
Thank you, Cassiana. Okay, so we will... Oh, Britt, I'm sorry about that, Britt. You must have had an open mic. Go ahead. You should be able to go now.
Oh. So just listening to the idea of being stuck in one misunderstanding and then it not getting any easier further into your life. That was impressed upon me quite a bit with being told that you're one way for basically your entire existence, and then finding that courage and that voice later in life, much later in life, to start to question those things that maybe your parents with the best of intentions had thought to impress upon you multiple times. So whether that's your beliefs or your gender or your identity of some kind, and it's I guess just personally I feel like everything that he said is very reflective of that, where I was unhappy but I didn't know why I was unhappy, and then once I started to question those things and to start to question those ideas that were pressed upon me, and shed them, uh, it I've been much happier being my true authentic self. But it's very difficult, and I find myself envying individuals that maybe realize these things in their teens, right, when they're still very young and they have a supportive family structure. So I feel like as adults, I can speak with some truth that it's true. Like the longer into your life you are clinging to those ideas, and it takes a lot to let go of those and to start to allow those alternative narratives to come to the surface.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so let's continue on with the reading. It's time to recognize that this problem exists and how difficulties have piled up proportionally. Through repeatedly deepening these habits, we strengthen tendencies and inclinations towards repeating them even more. These accumulated tendencies are known as Anusayas. So the accumulated tendencies of unskillfulness, the momentum of unskillfulness, we can say. Every time a corruption arises, the corresponding tendency increases. these unskillful negative states of mind occur depending on causes and conditions. Although always temporary, activated corruptions, such as greed, anger, and delusion, these corrupted states of mind, corrupted ways of being, although always temporary, these activated corruptions, greed, anger, delusion, build up tendencies towards further afflictions of their kind, thus promoting their reoccurrence in the future. Okay, so the more that we participate in, the more that we get involved in anger, greed, and delusion, the more likely that those are to arise moving forward. So we need to be very careful about that, and also careful about the causes and conditions that we put ourselves in, because these kilesas, these negative mind states, and these kind of corrupted states of mind are going to come up in certain causes and certain conditions. So we need to be careful about the kinds of environments and conditions we put ourselves in, because that's going to make these states arise, and then we're going to be predisposed towards those states more so moving forward. These accumulated tendencies. So the tendencies strengthen with each subsequent occurrence of affliction and gain the advantage. These tendencies toward troubles become thick and stubborn. We struggle to overcome the afflictions because the tendencies toward their reoccurrence are stronger than tendencies for their non-occurrence. And this can be particularly troubling or annoying if we want to get on the path, we want to develop compassion, loving kindness, peace, but in the past we've been very involved in greed, anger, negative thinking, delusional thinking. We're going to find that these things are going to be arising because they have a accumulated tendency to arise because of how we have acted in the past. And depending on how we get involved to act now, that's going to impact those future occurrences. Okay? So we struggle to overcome the afflictions because the tendencies toward their reoccurrence are stronger than tendencies for their non-occurrence. So, now it is time to build a Dhamma Fortress. So the kilesas can't happen, so these negative states of mind cannot arise and take over our mind. This Dhamma Fortress, we can say, is recognizing and remembering our own ability to end suffering, that the problem can be solved. So this is like our Buddha nature, or this is what the Buddha represents. So we look to the Buddha and this is what it represents. We have this ability to fix the problem as a human being. We rely on the Dhamma, so that can be, Buddhist teachings are a very, very good source, and there's all kinds of different styles and flavors of Buddhist teaching. Some are completely non-religious, but also good people, good teachings, wisdom teachings, truth teachings, enlightening teachings, skillful teachings. You rely on those instead of just, advice from the person at the gas station, or a family member who likes to give you advice, or just random content, random media that you come across, and you kind of rely on that for seeing the world, relying on politics, okay, relying on social dynamics. We don't build a fortress of that. We build a fortress of truth teachings. And you need to find out what kind of truth you can digest and understand and build a fortress of that, okay? And then finally, the Sangha, the community of well-minded practitioners, all right? And this is the kind of fortress that we want to build. At least that's one way to look at it. So now it's time to build a Dhamma fortress. So the kilesas can't happen. So these negative states of mind, anxiety, fear, depression, what have you, can't happen. And if they do happen, they quickly are defeated by this Dhamma fortress, or defended by this Dhamma fortress. So Combat them with mindful, clear comprehension. Combat them with mindful, clear comprehension. Combat your depression, your anxiety, your fear, your neuroses with mindful, clear comprehension. That is, develop the ability to be fully aware and apply the right kind of intelligent response to any potentially meaningful sense contact, pleasant or unpleasant. Okay? So combat these kilesas, these negative mind states, with mindful, clear comprehension. That is, develop the ability to be fully aware rather than just reacting, rather than just going towards what we desire, enjoying things, going away from what we don't like, and kind of dealing with the pain of things, but this ability to be fully aware. Okay? And from that place of being fully aware, apply the kind of intelligent response, a skillful choice in regards to any potentially meaningful sense contact. Okay, whether it's good or bad. Using that sense contact not to fall into indulgence or not to fall into pushing away, this indulgence of trying to get away from, but using any potentially meaningful sense contact as a point of response, intelligent response. But we can only do that if we have this capacity of really being aware of what's happening in the present moment, not just in neuroses, not just in anxiety, not just in depression, okay? But capacity to face the suffering is at the heart of it. And then through that, developing this ability to really be fully aware and then apply the right kind of intelligent response to any potentially meaningful sense contact through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind. Okay? So each time we prevent their arising, that is, by making a skillful choice at that point of a meaningful sense contact. So maybe you had a very good day, or maybe you had a very bad day, and now there's a particular coping mechanism or a particular negative state of mind that tends to arise when you have meaningful sense contact. All right? So each time that we prevent their arising, that is to not fall deeper into it, but to make the skillful choice at the point of contact, the point of contact with that sense experience, we make a skillful choice, then we can prevent their arising. So each time we prevent their arising, we decrease our familiarity with them, and their corrupting power decreases. And then even if a certain kind of experience or a certain kind of kilesa comes up, because we are decreasing our familiarity with them, each time that we prevent their arising, we prevent that strong anxiety, that strong fear, that strong desire state to come up and be involved with that. Each time we prevent that, which can be by just normal everyday activity, being normal, being aware, we decrease our familiarity with them, that anxiety, that fear, that depression, whatever it is, and their corrupting power decreases. So that is that even if you fall into an unskillful state, an unskillful choice, and you do something that brings about this negative mind state, the ability for that to corrupt you is far decreased. So that maybe is like the ability for that to perpetuate itself or maintain itself. Okay, so that choice that you make that usually provokes anxiety, or that situation that provokes anxiety or depression or what have you, the more that you decrease your familiarity with anxiety, depression, what have you, the corrupting power of that experience decreases, so that it's not really going to interfere with you so much anymore. So, just be careful to prevent them. Just be careful to make a skillful choice at the point of any potentially meaningful sense contact. Regulate them so they don't arise when provoked and their power lessens. regulate these negative states of mind so they don't arise when provoked. So that when you feel that situation or that person or that experience or that sense contact, you happen to be experiencing that, and it provokes this negative state of mind, this klesha, this desire, depression, anxiety, this kind of affliction state of mind, destructive state of mind, disturbing state of mind. At that moment that that's provoked, release, regulate, relax that. Okay? And the more that you do that, the less they will arise when provoked, and the less they will have their power to corrupt your mind, to corrupt your peace. Our habituation to them diminishes bit by bit. Okay? And we can do this just through normal, ordinary activity. Just being aware, just breathing, just doing good deeds, just practicing mindfulness. Okay? Willing to let go of pleasant, unpleasant, whatever. Let go. Willing to do that. So then our habituation, our familiarity, our relationship, this kind of ongoing relationship with anxiety and neuroses, etc., diminishes bit by bit. This is our way to survival and a healthier life. So, don't give in, don't be discouraged, and you will increasingly be able to control them, to prevent their arising, or to allow them to pass away quickly when they do arise. Eventually, you can control them completely. Then the tendencies will disappear altogether, and kilesas won't arise again. Can you imagine? Negative states of mind will not arise again. Disturbing emotions will not arise again. Afflicted thoughts will not arise again. Here, we must consider the thinking that has gone wrong. That is, appreciating and worshiping troubled acquisitions as good or beneficial. Okay? Here, we must consider the thinking, the way of our thinking that's gone wrong. That is, appreciating and worshiping troubled acquisitions. So what does that troubled acquisition means? Well, whatever we get, whatever we hold on to, whether it's a mental phenomena, some idea, some experience in our mind, or it's a physical experience, an object that we get, it's troubled. Ultimately, it cannot satisfy us. Ultimately, it cannot solve our problem. It cannot quench our thirst. Ultimately, it is temporary. Whatever that object, whatever that experience is, and ultimately, the separation of that object, that thing that we get, that acquisition that we get, is not really separate from anything else. It's just an appearance. It's a kind of shallow appearance that it's somehow separate from anything else. So our very holding on to it is troubled. Okay, so here we must consider the thinking, the way of thought that has gone wrong. That is appreciating, over-appreciating, we can say, and worshiping troubled acquisitions as good and beneficial. This isn't nice to hear, but we worship getting what the afflictions want as wonderful, which is much the same as worshiping the kilesas themselves. So we don't usually think about it in this way of worshiping, but we worship getting what the afflictions want. We worship getting what these negative states of mind want, these disturbed emotions or this kind of afflicted desire, this state of desire that is not manageable and is kind of not skillful in any particular way and is very self-fixated. We worship to get that thing, that item, that new phone, that bowl of cereal can even be, that relationship, that partner, that sexual experience, that sleep. Okay, we worship these experiences. We're in this process. Yes, I can't wait to get that and have that, and that's so good and that's so wonderful. So we worship getting what these afflicted states of mind want as being wonderful. which is much the same as worshiping the negative states of mind themselves. Okay? We worship the negative states of mind, that is, we want what the negative states of mind want. We want what the afflicted states of mind want. We desire the fun, delicious, and stimulating things of the world. We worship them as God. God here means the highest reality or power that we must put faith in, must fear, and must obey. And we really do look at things like that, really, isn't it? Our mind works like that. We believe in the corruptions, we fear them, and we obey their promptings. With such lifelong habits, we have kilesas as our God. We have afflicted states of mind as our God. Now, it's time to change. To put our faith in the Buddha. Okay, so you don't need to see this in a Buddhist, like as a Buddhist person putting your faith in the Buddha. That's very convenient to have a very characterized embodiment that you can trust and you can have faith in. But what Buddha means is our capacity to wake up. Begin to put our faith in our capacity to wake up from the dream, to transcend the dream of our afflicted state of mind that is worshiping sleep, or worshiping some bowl of cereal, or worshiping some relationship with a person, some experience that we're going to have in the future, coming from this afflicted, trapped, desiring state of mind, or this fearful state of mind, something we're trying to avoid. That's also a way of worshiping, because we fear it. We must obey it. We have to obey this anxiety. We worship it as a God. So now it's time to change, to put our faith in the Buddha. That is, to put our faith in this ability to wake up, to transcend, to abandon, to let go of the negative, afflicted states of mind, and act according to what he taught, or in this case, act according to these truth teachings, these deep teachings, to transcend, to end suffering, to alleviate it, to free yourself from it, to transform it fully. So now it's time to change, to put our faith in the Buddha and act according to the teachings of that, or the teachings leading to that, rather than anything else, politics or whatever. This is difficult because we have been worshiping the God of troubles almost since birth. Our history makes it difficult to honor truth and realize the path, the fruit, and fruition, or nibbana. So our history makes it difficult to honor and appreciate truth, skillful truth, and ways of pointing to the truth, and to realize the path, that is, walking and taking the steps to walk the path, the fruit, which is the expressions that come along as you start to walk the path. You start to experience these peaceful, free states of mind and different ways of being. So that's the fruit, the joy of the path. And finally, nibbana, the ending of suffering, the peace, the freedom. So our history makes it difficult to honor and realize this. Like everything in life, our ability to change depends on the necessary causes and conditions, on the right opportunities, and on wise choices, making a skillful choice. If causes and conditions come together appropriately, if there is good Dhamma teaching and skillful training, we can change and relinquish, abandon, put down these negative states of mind. No longer cooperating with afflictions and troubles, our inclination towards Dhamma, towards a truth, no longer cooperating with afflictions and troubles, no longer worshiping this negative, afflicted state of mind, our inclination is toward Dhamma, toward truth, and we genuinely seek to practice according to the truth. Thus, light arises. The light of survival arises when we stop worshiping the afflictions and instead honor what is real and true, that which is righteous and excellent, namely Dhamma, truth teaching, skillful teachings. We orient toward Satcha. We orient toward the truth of truths. Okay, any question or sharing? Okay, so let's practice some meditation together. All right? So find your meditation position. Okay. And consider that this meditation practice that we'll do together now is not about force at all. Don't need to force yourself to get through this or to meditate properly, but see it more and practice it more as just an opening. Okay? Taking the time to fully open and take the cover off the field and let the Dhamma reign, the truth reign of this present moment experience, and not going towards affliction, not going towards our desire, but opening towards being with the body, the breath, experiencing right now, and just allowing that that opening, that expanding out to take place. Really make sure that you're comfortable, stable. Find the breath in the body. Find the body in the body. Really feel this present moment experience. And just taking these a few moments together to breathe, to be aware, and to open to the truth. To open to this present moment body-mind experience. Just sitting, breathing, just being aware. whatever comes up in the mind, finding our way back to just breathing, just being aware. Just coming back to the experience of the body, being here in the moment. Open to anything, everything, but not involved, not taken in. Just coming back to the body, sitting here, open, fresh, breathing and aware. Okay, at this moment we can bring our hands together and all take a deep bow to each other. We can feel a lot of gratitude, a lot of respect and appreciation for everyone here, for everyone showing up and staying for this group meditation and exploration of Buddhist teachings. So I'm thankful for you all being here. And if anyone does have any questions before we finish, you can go ahead and ask. But otherwise, we will end our session now. Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.